How can we stop holding ourselves back? How can we truly embrace who we are? How can we shed everything that has been keeping us stuck or in hiding or holding us back from our truest purpose? And this is definitely the case with me. This year has been wild, like life-changing, soul recognition type of year. Hello loves, and welcome to Finding Freedom with me, Amber Bishop Garcia, the space where we dive deep to uncover the truths that set us free. I am so passionate about helping women to reclaim their power and find the freedom that has been waiting for us all along. And if you follow me on socials, this podcast is where we take it to the next level. Together we'll peel back the layers and go beyond the surface level, because let's face it, there's so much more to explore. Let's get started. Hello and welcome back to another episode. I'm so excited to have you here. Today's episode is a little bit around what we can focus on at this time to really draw ourselves inwards and really continue to progress and move towards our soul's dreams at this specific time of year. And this is the time of year when we're beginning to end the year. So it is about kind of like closing up the ties and finishing off how this year has been for us to start the new year in a different kind of expansive way. We were really doing a lot of introspection and a lot of deep inner work over the course of this year, really like honing in on what we do, how we live, etc. And next year is more about action and fast pace and creation. And so there is a shift in energy. And really the intention of this session, it was just to kind of do an oracle pull and use the cards to bring through intuitive guidance around what my community can really work on or foster and call in during this time. A time where there's a lot of family. There can be a lot of like conflict or inner turmoil as well over the holidays for a lot of people. And so when we look around what we can really do over this time as we transition and shift, right, from the old into the new, this is like the last month of this year. So we're really changing phases now. And it's calling us to be bounteous. And bounteous is really like being in deep appreciation and gratitude for what we have. Especially at this time of year, a lot of people can worry and can stress and really focus on the outward stuff. How can we really just be in appreciation for what we do have? It's not to negate what we don't have. It's about really finding this perfect balance between acknowledging and really sitting with what we do still need, while focusing and bringing our attention on what we do have as well. And so there is a time to be super in this gratitude energy around the moments that are really unique to this time of year. And so this could be for you personally, like this closing end of a cycle, which just feels this energy of like, oh, I'm full of accomplishments from what I've done. There's a lot of like internal kind of reflection at this time, because naturally as we end and we begin the new in the new year, we're very much conditioned to see it as, oh, what have I done over the course of this year and how is that going to be different to next year? But really what we can do is we can really bring in a lot of gratitude around, okay, what has this year looked like? What have I really pushed myself out of my comfort zone with? What has really shifted and changed for me? So there can be very much a gratitude around that. There can also be a gratitude actually around just moments of family and community and being in togetherness. And it's very unique again to this time of year because we do, especially in this part of the world where we are, spend an awful lot of time with family, and it really is about unity and coming together. It's about sharing food, sharing time, sharing drink, and just being together. There is a lot to be said around holding a lot of energy and gratitude to those things and not getting caught up in the commercialized point of this time of year, you know, around the spending and the gifts, and that can bring up a lot of scarcity for people. And it's, can we just be bounteous in the way that we are able to show up and the way we're able to be present with other people and within ourselves? And so this time of year is really calling us to come in together. And so if there is any competition or comparison that still holds you down or holds you back towards your truest purpose, can we really shift that into collaboration energy? How can we see the best in other people as the best in ourselves, and then see ourselves as a reflection of mirrors, and really being called into this place of feeling gratitude for what we do have and everything we've accomplished this year? This has been a very busy year with a lot of energy shifting, a lot of like new revelations, new ways of being, a lot of shedding, a lot of calling us home to who we truly are and what our soul's purpose and soul fulfillment is when we live everyday life. And so there has been a lot of shifts and changes to that because we could have been living very, very differently to what our soul wants us to be living as. And so there has been a lot of ups and downs this year. And so there is a moment of really being called back inwards to just feel like bounteous for what we have been through this year. Everything that we've like transitioned through and really come through to be at this point now where we can really be self-reflective. And I know there's a lot of people that have told me, especially like my clients, that this is really a year where they've got to the end or the final part of the year and not felt this overwhelming like sadness or hesitation or like kind of disruption around not being where they want to be. How instead it's been a very transitional year and it has really called us closer to ourselves. And this is definitely the case with me. This year has been wild, like life changing, soul recognition type of year. And so it is really about using this time to really just call myself in and really reflect on all the places that I've been this year, aka who have I been and who am I now, what have I done and what did that teach me, and really just fall into the energy of expansion. Because when we think about it like that from a place of like gratitude and understanding for everything, it is really bounteous. Like there is so much energy and capacity there that it is expanding and it's hard not to be. Understandably, we have to also look at the lower places that we've been this year and really kind of not allow ourselves to be overwhelmed by those things, but instead call ourselves into the lessons that they taught us, and what they've shown us and how we can maybe shift and change because of them. It's also been a year where there's been a lot of those moments for me.
I had invested what had been to me the largest amount of money I'd ever invested into in this intuitive development course. I kind of set the intention out into the universe that would be one of my main priorities. So that and my work would be pretty much 50-50 with each other. Because I just had this inner knowing that I had to just invest a lot of my time into doing that intuitive development course. And I basically did the 3 months of that as if it was my business. And inevitably, what did that mean? They sent out this message that like less things were going to be happening in my business because a lot of my time and energy and resources was going into my own, not only the intuitive development in the course necessarily, but what did that mean for me and my own growth and evolution and all of that? Where was my place in these things? And how did that help me on a deeper level to really dive deeply within myself and what that I would find within me, right? And a lot of the introspection and healing that would happen on account to that. So it was very much needed to have all this time and space to be in deep reflection within myself as I was learning these outward skills too. Because intuition development is very much how can we use it for other people? But more importantly, it's what does that mean within myself? How does it reflect on me? What is my own story within this? And so really in my business at the beginning of the year, I was still working with nutrition clients in this way. We were still doing like this deeper root cause work where we'd speak about things like sleep and relationships and stress and energy levels. And it kind of just started to kind of ebb and flow into a what's your self-worth? How can we go a little bit deeper into like empathy and being an empath and energy protection? Maybe that's why you're not feeling well, and maybe the reason that you're stressed is because you're taking on other people's energy. And so it ended up kind of slowly, it was very much the same because we'd been talking about really bigger concepts other than nutrition, but it ended up kind of being tailored into the kind of person that I ended up working with. And they ended up having deeper roots around intuition and being an empath and deep wounding trauma and stuff like that. And so it has kind of like, as we started into the year, changing more into intuitive development work and really leaning on ourselves within all of that.
And it's really just about sitting with them and just seeing how it's changed me or it's created an imprint within me that has shifted my life, because even when things that are like less than what we want happen, they really do change us and mold us and imprint us in a way that really prepares us for what's coming. It's not to say like obviously like these really bad things happen to us and it's all for our best interest, because that is really hard to hear on an energy level. But really, when we can just sit with the fact that a lot of big things that happen really change us, and we end up like pivoting and growing and evolving from them. And that is really the energy of being in December, right? It's really about this self-reflective part, to really just be in gratitude for everything that's come up and deep appreciation of what we do have. This card is calling us to not like, they said like not hoard or not become stagnant. So can we really share with those around us? Again, this is Christmas. This is a holiday period for a lot of people. And it can really be about sharing just ourselves, sharing our energy, our time, and really allowing what we love in our own lives to be shared with those around us. It's like, how can we just allow the energy to flow to other people? And in doing so, allow it to really create a lot of growth in our own lives. And the analogy with this card, it's the water deck. And it is around where water flows, everything else grows in a lot of abundance. And so by sharing our own energy and sharing things that we love in our lives, that enables it to therefore grow a lot more in our own lives. And so there is this sharing and relationship aspect to it, but how can we just be in like this gratitude for everything that we do have? Because there's a lot of abundance available to us simply in the small moments, in the moments that you share with your child or with your family or with your colleagues or your pets. There can be a lot of small moments where it is just gratitude if we allow ourselves and our attention to be led there. So this is a really beautiful card, and I think being bounteous really does remind us in this time of year. And we can really use that to really deeply appreciate the small moments of what we have at this time, versus very much getting caught up in our minds and the stress and the overwhelm and the overcomplication that this could actually be this time of year as well for a lot of people. So how can we take small moments to just notice the abundance that's available to us, and allowing that to really fill our hearts, fill us with deep gratitude, and allow a lot of this energy to flow back into us to grow and become alive again, even though we are like in the shedding part of the year when everything is darker and we're really turning in. It is this place where we are now setting all of the foundations and the soil for what is to come. So if we are able to share with those around us and be in deep gratitude, that is inevitably going to allow this water to really create a lot of growth and aliveness around us in our lives. And when we look at the next card, this card was around coming home to ourselves and embracing who we really are. And this is very much on topic with what's going on right now with the energy, because like I said loads and loads of times, it is around calling us into our truest selves and identifying and releasing what has been holding us back from that. And so when we can really, really sit with and embrace who we truly are and come out of hiding in those places, it allows our soul to just shine so much more brightly through our being. So it is so much so about a deep inner knowing or a deep inner calling that they're calling us to really stand in. Because we're in this introspective time of year, it can be a place of, okay, maybe where have I been hiding parts of myself this year? Where have I not been my truest self? Where have I not allowed myself to truly shine in my very unique way? In what places have I been hiding my shine and my uniqueness? And in doing that, it is this perfect reflection to begin to recognize and be called back into, okay, how can I step more into my truest self? How can I embrace my truest self a little bit more? And that is perfect because, as I said, is like when we are really setting the tone now through into December to really start the new year in a very different kind of expansive energy. And so when we look at other energy readings for next year, it is very much calling us into this burst of creation and more input from ourselves. And so when we can really get clear at this time of year of what we really want to foster within ourselves, what we really want to shine brightly in, it allows us to really start to prepare ourselves energetically for that up leveling that can happen when we really step into this new full potential.
Definitely for me, I had this moment that I can think back to in about June-ish, and I was just doing this business course and being told to do things in a really masculine structured way, and I had attempted to do it in the way that I was being told, but found myself more and more and more disconnected from myself and falling back into old patterns of myself that I thought I had worked through. And so I just felt like completely disconnected from myself. And when I came to this moment of realization that everything wasn't working, I just fell into this moment of like 3.5 weeks worth of funk. And I was like, am I ever going to feel like myself again? I feel really disconnected. I feel lack of any purpose or passion or joy in my life. It just felt like a heavy depletion and a complete, aka lack of alignment. And so I was really in this place where I was like, trying not to question too much, but at the same time being critical and being like, why aren't I getting better? Why aren't I feeling more myself? But really, what I can see and I was able to see was like that was a massive lesson for me. It was a way that I had been ignoring my intuition around how I should be running my business and why I don't work the same as other people work and how I can't expect that to be the case. And it was a lot of introspection afterwards that I was able to say, okay, I really, really see it. Like this is not, wasn't working. And that's what it was trying to show me. And in being in those places, what I had to really do is instead of just being swallowed up by the fact of, I'm not feeling myself, I'm lacking joy, I don't want to wake up, instead of all these really heavy things, I'm like, why aren't I performing well enough? I just had to give myself space and grace during that time to just take a step back. And I always tell my clients to do this is like, can we energetically take a step back from the situation that we're so overconsumed by? And in that space in the middle, we now have time to reflect and to be there for ourselves in a greater way, in a more meaningful, intentional way, to really help ourselves get through those times. And it's in those moments that we can do small actions and things to return to feeling more like ourselves. In that time, I was able to just say, okay, maybe I'm not going to do any work this week. Maybe I'm not going to be doing the social media and all the things that they expect me to be doing. And instead, I'm going to use that time to be intentional. Can I journal a little bit more? Can I do some more yoga? Can I try to meditate? And these are all the things that usually help me to come back into alignment with myself. And in taking the space to take a step back, I was able to really work through that and do the small things throughout the day that were going to help me feel the most connected to myself. And in going through that process and slowly refinding my joy and everything, it allowed me to just notice those were just really big lessons that helped me to shift and pivot very, very drastically from the path that I had been going on by all of the quote unquote advice, the right way to do things. And in taking that space and that time to reflect, I was able to drastically redirect the way that I approach my life, my energy, the way that I show up, and definitely the way that I run my business. And so, even those small moments of really like lowness that we all have are the biggest shifts and lessons that can be created in our lives. And if it wasn't for that moment, maybe I wouldn't have been where I am now. Maybe that was the drastic shift that I needed. I need to be reminded of one of my lowest lows. Okay, that's not my lowest of lows, by the way. I've had way, way worse moments and times in the past. But for me, having been on this high vibration for so long in the intuitive development course, to then get to that place where I was completely disconnected, it had to be so jarring that I really took the message and really shifted and changed because of it. And we all have those moments that really remind us and show us, maybe afterwards in hindsight, what truly matters and how we can really approach ourselves and our lives in a different way that's going to be in most alignment for us.
Where do you need to free yourself in your life? Where can you come out of hiding? Where can you fully shine more brightly as your true self? And in doing that, you allow yourself the courage to really step into this next version of you where you are showing up in your everyday life as this full version.
And definitely for me personally, one of my main lessons in my life as I really had to work on my self-worth was dimming my lights and not shining as my truest self for fear of other people's expectations and opinions and judgments, through the fear of being hurt and being seen in a way that is not endearing to other people. And this year has been one of those moments of, okay, you really, really need to just fully embrace who you are. And as people know, I've really spoken about working through my body image and my relationship with food because of it over the last few years. And so it has been a slow progression of really just accepting and showing up as I am over the course of the last 3 years. And really this year has been like the true awakening to self, where it's been like, okay, now we really need to see you, aka me, just being my true authentic self and really shining with that. And especially when I begin to come to terms with the fact, like, okay, I guess I am intuitive. Okay, I guess this is what I do. I guess I've always done that. And I guess I am different to other people in ways that I am very unique and very quirky. And it was really a moment where I was hiding that, as most people do, because there is a lot of judgment around those things. Whether it's just fully being myself, my bubbly, like outspoken way of being that oftentimes is like maybe jarring for some people. But also when it came to really announcing myself and being present in an intuitive way, because as we know, that's something that's not been accepted in this world for a very, 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 very long time and many, many past lives. And so there can be a lot of wounding around that, especially when we hear other people talking about these things. And for me, definitely one of the ways that I had to just truly, truly show up for myself was not just in embracing the way that my body looks when I'm working through my body image, not just being bubbly and quirky and just how I am and just hard, like sometimes little filter, but it also in a very, very deep, meaningful way, it meant showing up as this intuitive version of myself. And that has been one of the hardest things, because this year has been a lot more effortless in the way that I've just accepted my body in the way that it is. It has brought about a lot of self-worth in the body that I'm in, because my worth is no longer carried in my physical shape as my only way of being worthy. It's no longer just in my body. It also meant like sharing parts of my personality that were deemed too much at some points in my life. And also on this deeper end, it was like, this is what I do, and this is scary and threatening to share these things, as I'm intuitive and I can do a soul reading for you and all these things, because for many, many a times there's been this wounding around it. And I can definitely remember people saying like, oh, because she's a witch or whatever to other people, and really internalizing that as this really bad thing. And now starting to come to terms like maybe everyone is intuitive. That's pretty much the case. And so it's been really peeling back the layers to mostly that throughout this year for myself. But even now, I still struggle with being open about those things fully. And this is why there hasn't been, and I can notice in myself when I talk to my inside people, my close friends, the terminology and the phrases and the way that I describe intuition and the deeper meaning of how I see things, I don't share with a lot of people. I can tell you there's maybe like 3 people at a push that I deeply share all of these really ways that I've been showing up in my own life and my own reality. And this is like even a way that I'm still not fully sharing and embracing who I truly am with the outside world. And so for me, this has been the journey that I've been on, is not just accepting my physical body and my personality for who I am, which, you know, I can even remember like last year at the beginning of the year, someone telling me like, oh, do you always talk this fast? Or, you know, just blatantly judging me. And so it took a knock on my confidence. And it's not just been about accepting these parts of my personality and the way that I speak and the way that I am, but now on a really deep level, it's like, how can I be even more vulnerable with who I truly am in my soul, as like this eternal being that's been here many times and is really shining in her intuition and actually bringing it forth in this life. And that has been a really hard transition in terms of, what do I feel safe to say? And even still, there are plenty of times that I change the way that I would say something to appease or to conform to those around me. And anyone else who knows who is intuitive, that's pretty much the common practice for pretty much everyone if you're intuitive, and really changing the way that you speak and that you are, so that other people don't get frightened or they don't think a certain way or they don't kind of perceive you wrong or differently. And so that has been something that has really been awakening for me, even as I talk about this now. That is a really big moment of awareness for me now. And I'm like, oh, right, I was actually am hiding loads of these parts of myself. And so as I end this year and I start the new one, being an intuitive business owner now, it is something that I'm going to continue embracing within myself and truly shining as I am. And that's including my personality, because there are still times where I hide a lot of my personality with those around me who are like not in my close circle. But actually, now that I'm saying it, as this intuitive person that I am too.
When we look at the holiday period, this is a time where we might retreat into ourselves. There might be a lot of commentary from family, a lot of input, a lot of judgment for a lot of people. And it is really a time where some people might feel more insecure, more triggered by those around them. And this is a common story that I've heard a lot from the people that I've been working with recently one-to-one in my group settings around the holiday period. And this is just a reminder, when we can truly foster and embrace who we truly are within ourselves, this allows this great brightness to be filled not from externally inwards, but from internally outwards. And when we can really just begin to embrace who we truly are, even if it's just behind closed doors and just to ourselves, it allows us to shine from within. And this is this energy frequency of this magnetism that comes out of us when we are truly embracing who we are. It becomes almost effortless, and it becomes so magnetic that everything around us that we truly desire and want is naturally drawn to us. And this energy is just like, again, abundance. It's this frequency of high vibration, magnetism, and expansion. But this can only happen when we begin to shed the ways that we've been hiding or avoiding who we truly are. And so this card wants you to really start to understand this and really begin to like action plan towards, okay, how can I come out of hiding? How can I show who I truly am? How can I embrace this within myself in the small ways throughout my day? And that inevitably allows it to grow and proliferate and begin to shine so deeply and so brightly into the world around us. That again, it is about sharing what you love, because you are this person who is so embraced by who you are that it kind of like tumbles out of you into those around you.
And so it sounds like a really simple example, but I remember being at the beginning of the year in my intuitive development course and just starting one of the group calls where we would get together, all the women, and we would just like read together and just coming on, and we just would start the call with like, how's this week been for you? Like, how are you finding it? And I remember being one of the first people and just coming on and being like, just joking and laughing and being like, well, like this happened, and just like really being effortless me myself, because I really could be in that group. And I remember then other people coming on the call and just having their turn to speak, and they're just being like, you know, and I found it really, as I said, working through my self-worth, I found it really hard to even recognize this within myself. But they would just be like, oh my God, like it's so amazing and refreshing to have Amber's contagious laughter and energy to really start this call off. And being like, oh, I did that? Like, I didn't know that I was doing anything. I was just like laughing and being myself. And it just goes to show, like, when we are truly effortlessly ourselves, it just creates this overflowing energy of like magnetism and high vibration that it effortlessly just flows onto those around us. And without even noticing, our own energy and our own magnetism is able to have this profound effect on the energy of other people and the way that they show up. And so you just being truly effortlessly in a full embrace of who you are and in your contagious magnetic energy, that gives the gift to other people to also be the same. And so it's almost like a form of permission that you allow them to also have by just being effortlessly yourself. And it's just this place where when we can just show up, it just happens for us. And it just creates this vibration and this magnetism. And it is almost effortless. And that just allows you to just deeply just shine and be who you are to those around you, and them to therefore be able to do the same thing in return.
And the frequency and energy of that is just like magnetism and love and abundance, because you are so effortlessly yourself that is kind of like attracted to those around you. Everyone can feel that energy. And in doing so, this gives other people permission to do the same thing. And that is the greatest gift that you can give anyone. Like, the greatest gift, especially if you yourself have struggled in the past with being your true authentic self and really embracing and shining that in your life. And so we're really able to begin to understand within ourselves how we can really do that in the beginning part of next year, because it is calling us to our soul's path. And what better way to be aligned in your soul's path than be fully embraced in who you are and allow this embracing of your true self to bring a great level of fulfillment in your life. Because when we are able to feel fulfilled in our daily life, that is why we talk about purpose. Purpose is not like this specific thing that we have to do. Purpose is the feeling of being fulfilled. And so when we really embrace who we truly are and begin to kind of come out of the hiding with that, it allows the opportunity to therefore be fulfilled, which is what our soul truly wants. And in doing so, you'll almost be shown what you next need to work on or work with to really be in soul alignment and to really work towards this expansion and soul kind of freedom and fulfillment that we desire. And so it's such an amazing gift to others, but also the most freeing thing that you can do for yourself. The moon energy that we've been working with on Monday has really been about how can we stop holding ourselves back? How can we truly embrace who we are? How can we shed everything that has been keeping us stuck or in hiding or holding us back from our truest purpose? And embracing who we truly are. And when we can really think about this year, I encourage you to really reflect on these prompts and really understand your place in this year around being your true self. Has that really shifted for you with everything and the energies that have been going? Are there still places that you need to work with and work towards with this aspect? I really invite you in to do that and really reflect on it so that as we really move forward and we can really end the year and start the new one in a place of great self-fulfillment. And the next card, which is the mist. And the mist is around when we are in mist and fog, you can't exactly see anything around you. However, you can understand the direction you need to go in, and then you just need to trust that when you're walking, you're going to be led the right way. And that is the point of intuition. And this card is literally trust your inner compass and be led from within. It says intuition is pointless unless it is acted on. However, what we need to act on it is faith. We need faith to trust our intuition and courage to act on it. It can take a lot to actually act on our intuition because we might not see it as intuition. We might be filled with self-doubt. There might be obstacles in the way of acting on our intuition.
And I really remember when I first started working with my intuition, as I mentioned, it was towards the end of last year. I was like, what? Like, I had no understanding. I remember reading a book early last year by Gabby Bernstein called The Universe Has Your Back. And I bought it. It came to me, because this always happens to me. It came to me on this energy portal. So I think it was like to the 2nd of the 2nd, 2022. So it was like this energy portal, and I just happened to find it. And I ordered this book, and I remember reading in the beginning and being like, the hell, like I understand like this universal energy as it's far removed from me, as it maybe like things exist beyond my reality, but it has nothing to do with me. And remember reading this book, and she was talking about angels, and I'm being like, I had to stop the book and like reread it again. I was like, angels exist? Like what? And I just remember just being in this place of like having this level of uncertainty and not understanding around all of these things, and getting towards the end of the end of last year and going to this Reiki healer who was really just saying like, you're really intuitive, etc. And then me being like, what? Like me? I am? There was like this level of doubt that I couldn't even comprehend. And when I really started working with my intuition in a mini version of the intuitive development course that I did, I remember being like, question mark to everything. Like I had no recognition or understanding of my own place within intuition and really what intuition actually was. I was like, some things like make sense, and I'm like, couldn't even comprehend what that meant, whether that's in your body or the things that you think. I had no understanding. And really working with the intuition can just be filled with this way of just being full of doubt and uncertainty and questioning and second guessing yourself all the time. And it really took this place of taking a step back and leaning into curiosity. And my teacher always used to tell us, what if you were just being curious right now? What would you think and what would you feel and what would you write down if your only understanding right now is just curiosity? And I remember that allowing us to create some space and take a lot of pressure out off of ourselves to just be like, okay, I'm just being curious. Like, now let's see what the intuition says. And within that, you begin to learn this level of trust and understanding within yourself that helps you to actually understand and action on your intuition. And so there is a moment of like trusting and really taking the leap to act on the intuition that's coming through now that you're just being curious, even though in the beginning there's just so much doubt.
And the point is that intuition doesn't always make sense. And that's why we need a lot of faith, we need trust, and we need courage to act on it. And when we do that and we're able to really act on it, we are truly blessed with deeply soul aligned life. It becomes effortlessly aligned because each moment that you recognize the intuition and you act on it, it is basically leading you closer to your soul, to your soul's callings in the individual moments that we're in. And so when we do that consistently, it's like building a little brick path, and each moment that we act on it, a little stone is added on this brick path. But eventually a whole path is laid out in front of us, and that has been led by our soul, the giver of this intuition. And so on the other end of this path is the most soul aligned path. And of course, this makes sense because, as I was saying, it is really about shedding what has held us back from really like getting ourselves out and really building towards what we want and taking the actions that we need to really trust our intuition and act on it and be soul aligned and live towards that. And so it is a calling to trust this inner compass, because even though the exact steps that we need to take every step of the way are known, and even though the direction that we're taking might not be known either, or the destination might not be known, we can still trust the little moments to redirect us and take us closer to our most soul aligned path. And again, as we finish this year, it is this final moment where we are being called to look a little bit more deeply, to really redirect and recompass ourselves over the holidays so that we can start the year in a place where we feel this level of fulfillment, because we've really understood where we want to maybe go. And it's not about, I'm not someone who I never set like really big year plans or anything, because I know for a fact, especially from the year that just passed, that we have no idea what is coming for us, and I feel like if you can plan that far ahead, I don't know what's going on. No, but really, because some people have like this idea, well, okay, this is what I want to manifest, this is what I want to bring into my life. But at the end of the day, nothing is really set in stone. And when we can really trust the intuition, we're led to places beyond anything that we could even recognize ourselves. And that is like a massive gift, because when we are able to just, I wouldn't say blind faith, but it is kind of blind faith in the trust of our intuition, we are led to such a magnificent soul aligned place that not even our conscious knowing could ever recognize.
When I think about the beginning of this year and I was doing the intuitive development course, I had no idea what that meant. I had no idea the implications that that would have. And really, when I think about it, to be in a place now, I would never have imagined I'd be doing these things at that point. At that point, I was working in this still business where I was doing these smaller things. I could have never imagined that I would have myself on YouTube with my fear of being seen and have a podcast and talk about spirituality and all these things, because it's nothing I could have ever have comprehended for myself. But I've actually had small moments of recognition that were kind of like guiding me towards what I should be doing for my soul's abundance and expansion, that have just effortlessly led to this point where it's like, okay, cool, now is the best time. And now I'm here with a podcast, with doing YouTube videos and having myself on YouTube, channeling intuitive messages, working with soul readings for people, and really having my intuitive development program leading to me doing now my Freedom Within program, which is very much leading ourselves to our own truth and our own intuition and our own healing as a way of freeing ourselves to finding great joy and fulfillment in our lives. And if I had even imagined that I would be doing a big program like that at this time of the year, even last year, that would have been beyond anything I could ever have imagined. But it just was this small moments of breadcrumbs that led to where I am now, almost like, I don't want to say effortlessly because it hasn't been effortless at all, but like in a very way that I was gently ready and prepared for it. And now here I am, and this is nothing I could have ever have imagined or pictured for myself. But that has all happened because I've been led by my intuition and really taken action and trusted it to get where I am.
It really does open up the pathway to see things that we would have never have envisioned for ourselves. I mean, some people might have, a lot of intuitive psychic people might have seen these things. But for a lot of people, it is, wow, like I would never have pictured this for myself. And when we really talk about calling things into our lives, it is a matter of always like asking for, I want this or more. Because we can never truly know what our path is going to be in this lifetime. There's always going to be things that are surprises and changes and more soul aligned than we could have ever have imagined. And so when we are really calling on leading by our intuition, the cognitive brain would not be able to align the path in the way that it needed to be to bring the most soul alignment for you. And so it really is about taking a step back and leaning on that intuition at this time to really guide you towards being your truest self and really embracing all parts of you. And therefore opening you up to endless possibilities when you are in your magnetism. And the possibilities are endless for you. And so from one month to the next, you might have no idea what could come for you. And that is the act of intuition and really leaning on it. There might be inner knowings that you're like, actually, I do know that I need to do this action or this step because that's going to help me towards finding my most freedom, towards living my most soul aligned path. It's going to get me towards my manifestations sooner. And it is about holding those things and recognizing them, but really following the small moments of recognition. Because intuition can be really, really subtle moments. Intuition is not like this one massive thing that we're being called to do. It's more about the little micro moments in our day and in our lives that are going to inevitably lead us towards that bigger path that we're going towards. And when we can take a step back and just begin to trust and action on our intuition, that is going to open us up to a potential that we have not seen possible. And that is the most important part to this all, because it's not about leading towards the destination. It's about leading to the small moments in our lives in the here and now and allowing that to open up a destination for us in our path. These cards are a really beautiful message that all tie in together. I hope that this resonates with you and you can really use these to kind of reflect on over this time and really draw yourself into this moment of gratitude. Really embrace who you are and really ask, what does my intuition need me to know? And how can I begin to act on these things in the here and now? And just trust that the really small moments are going to be those that take you towards your highest alignment and your highest fulfillment in this life. And that is the moment. But it is a reminder here that we must feel gratitude, because if we are not in gratitude, we won't even feel the benefits of the end goal that we're striving towards. We must recognize gratitude in the small things that we do in the here and now, in the everyday, without being so focused on the end goal. Because in enjoying the process, you're going to enjoy the end goal. If you're not enjoying the process, it's very likely that you're not going to be in the gratitude that you need to be in to actually enjoy the end goal of what you want. The fulfillment is found in the here and now and in the small micro moments and the small actions and redirection towards your soul's alignment. And that is where we need to hold a lot of our attention and focus so we can be in the deep gratitude of the here and now and everything we have already done to get to this moment and everything that we continue to do in the here and now, that is going to make that future possible for us. This has been so fun and a really nice way to really channel through these messages brought through by this oracle deck and really enjoy this period of time, because we are in a quieter period right now before we begin to take action again. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey and taking this time for yourself today to be in presence and connection. If you're searching for more connection, wisdom, and community, make sure to join us in the Facebook group, and I'll leave a link in the show notes. In the group, you can look forward to free energy updates every week, exclusive event notifications, and soul-deep journaling prompts to spark additional inner reflection. For the entire month of November, I'll be offering soul readings at 65% off. They're not just for you, they make incredible gifts too. The gift of self-discovery and insight is truly priceless within these sessions, and I wish nothing more than to do this with you and those that you love. Until next time.